The year is 1979, and I'm 9 years old. My father sells our house in a small town in Oregon, and we head off to the outback of Alaska to mine for gold. And so we formed a small encampment over 100 miles from the nearest civilization, just south of the Arctic Circle, and a truck bed trailer, much like this one, was my bedroom. And I look back on my life and I think, when was I the happiest? And for me, the answer is when I had the least amount of things, the least amount of worry. And a few years back, I was thinking, how could I simplify my life? Now, of course, that's a little more complicated, that I have 4 young children and a wife. You can't just uproot and go off into the boonies. Oh, no, wait, you can do that. So today we're going to look at tiny homes. What I'm hoping to do is to give you something, and that is a new way to look at things. And like me, people want to understand the world and try and figure out what it is that it's all about. And the fact is that answer is different for each person. So there's a value to ideas, a value to looking at things differently. The only obstacle is knowing the facts, knowing how it is that you can work around the problems that are in your life, and how to get to something more positive in the future. And for me, the happiest times of my life have been when I had cut-offs, t-shirt, but no wallet and no keys. And so I think there's something to that, and I've been looking for maybe a hybridized way of living. Now, my wife, now of 18 years, we're going on 19 years married. She's a civilized woman, and she likes her civilization. And I respect that. And there's another need inside of me besides happiness, food, shelter, and love, and that is for awesomeness. So I've got 2 separate tracks going on. One is an urge for simplification, and another one is the urge for awesomeness. So in the coming days, you'll probably see a little bit of both, and it might seem just a little schizophrenic, but welcome to humanity. So today we're going to look at tiny homes. There's this website called Tumbleweed Tiny House Company, and check the liner notes for the link to that. And basically what you do is you get a truck bed trailer, and you build a little tiny house on it. And of course, why would you do that? Well, there's mobility, there's simplicity, there's economy, and also in most states, if you're under a certain amount of square footage, you don't need a building permit. I believe it's like 110 square feet in most places. So for Tumbleweed Tiny House Company, you can get a do-it-yourself book. So you just order that. In fact, I'm not sure if it's free or not, but it's certainly not very expensive. And so you could use this as an expansion to an existing home, or you could actually make it your home. If I were single again, boy, I would be simplifying my life. And so anyway, let's go ahead and go back to the home page. And so I've been, these are just ideas. By the way, there's one of these that I really like. Let's see. Here it is, the Popomo. Sleek, simple, easiest house to build. Learn more. And I don't think I would like it. I don't think I would like it to be all rusty like this. There's. Let's take a look at some of the other pictures here. Okay, can you imagine that? Just opening your door, your window, and there's the coast. So these tiny homes can really look quite beautiful inside. Here's Here's a floor plan for that. And I was thinking, what you could do is you could switch this around. Like, so here's my idea. You could have basically, if you imagine having 2, 3, or 4 of these things, and you couldn't take them great distances unless you had like a gypsy caravan, unless in your family or your group of friends you had like 4 people with trucks. You could just uproot. And the idea is that public areas, the outdoors, public parks, that all then becomes your yard. So this guy doesn't own this beach, but guess what? He's there. He gets just as much use out of it. And if someone comes and says to move along, well, he just moves along. And how cool is that? So you can buy these ready-made. They're about $50,000. And I think that ain't not bad. Or you can go to one of their seminars. They have certain areas, like locations in the U.S. that you can go to and get taught how to make these. In fact, go to the workshop section. You'll see this map here, and that tells you where they're teaching you how to do this. But quite frankly, I think you could do this yourself. You could figure it out. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. I want to take a look at some pictures that I found, and I have. Hold on, I can do this. What I've done here is I'm making commentary on these pictures. And here we go. So here's the interior of one example type. So they usually have like a loft where you go and sleep. My idea was, well, why not have, instead of trying to cram everything in, shower, kitchen, bath, whatever it is, why not have one that's kitchen and bath, has plumbing, and another one that's just a bedroom and a study, and how simple that would be. And in my life, I've kind of taken over a spare room in my own home as my own place, and I'm thinking, when I'm home, boy, I use this in the bathroom, and it is not, it is not that complicated. So you've got to watch out for, how to explain this, assumptions in your life. Things where society kind of just assumes this is the way you do it. You go to college, you graduate, you get a job, and then you get a mortgage, and then you pay off your mortgage in 20 or 30 years, and then you're going to retire at 65. Well, what if there are other ways to do it? What if you owned, what if you learned how to build one of these houses? How long would it take? A month to get all the knowledge, if that? And then maybe if you're living at home, if you can keep your expenses low, even just bum off friends for a while. You could save all the money you need for your materials, build your own tiny home. Now you got no mortgage. You have no rent. You have nobody to pay. And now you just got to figure out where you're going to park it. So let's move on. Here's a guy who just cemented in space between boulders. Isn't that amazing? That is just so. My point is, there's other ways to think about life. Oh, here's another one of that same one. Now here's what it looks like when it is. Let me see if I can just shrink this down. Okay, that is not cooperating. All right, so here's one, and what it looks like, basically, getting framed up, and I'm thinking, this ain't that complicated. I'll bet you I could do that. So knowledge really is everything. Here's a permanent one. Look at this guy. This little scooter. He's having a good time. This is not complicated. Probably somewhere in the tropics. Got some palm trees in the back there. When I was, I think the year was 1999. Flash forward 20 years. My wife is very pregnant with our first child, a daughter, and we're living out with her grandmother, and who has a 70-acre hay farm. And so I'm down fixing the pump that draws the irrigation water out of the river, getting help from a neighbor from down the street. And he says, he tells me a story of a guy who becomes a multimillionaire and he retires. He goes to like Costa Rica or whatever it is, and there's this I guess poor like a peasant type who comes out to help him with whatever it is, and the guy says, hey, if you work really hard and you invest your money right, you can come down here and you got no worries. You got sun, you got sky, you got good fishing, the land, and you can get all these things. And the peasant says to him, I have those things already. So what I'm hoping to convey here, and of course you'll draw whatever it is you want, and that's human nature. Human nature is to draw whatever it needs or desires from the environment, just like a seed. Like a seed doesn't think about it, and yet it can become a mighty oak. And so are you. You will naturally draw to yourself the things that you need and desire. And so getting back to my point, it is, there's other ways to go about things. So there's my little truck trailer again. All right, so look at this guy. He's built his home on this tiny little island. How awesome is that? It's very awesome, in case you're wondering. How awesome it was. Now look at this. How extravagant is that? This is a loft in one of these homes. You got stained glass. And that raises another question. How awesome could you make this little house? And if you have a family, if you move into something bigger later, and boy, you'll be in a position to do so with the money you'll save, then you can still keep this. You can gift it. It becomes yours. This belongs to you. It is your property. And in a pinch, you always got a roof over your head. And you don't have to be indebted to any man. Here's a permanent structure out there. And I was thinking, well, what if you got like solar panels on there and you really became self-sustaining? What do you really need? All right, well, we're back to the beginning. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you've walked away with a new perspective.